Welcome everyone to Male Fuzz TV. I am Peter and that is Tara. We are going to talk about the Twilight Zone Season 4, Episode 9. It's called Printer's Devil. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. And I'll give you the premise, which, to be honest, is the title's pretty descriptive of what the title is. It's about a newspaper man who owns a small town newspaper, and it's being butchered by the bigger conglomerate newspaper that has moved into the town, and he's down on his luck. He's contemplating suicide even. Once he's like the last good employee, he has to leave because he's not paying him because he can't afford to. And right then, that's when Burgess Meredith shows up and seems to know exactly what he was going to do, and ultimately reveals that he was coming to get a job at his newspaper, and says that he'll even work for free until the fortune turns around. But before long, not only is he super impressive at how he handles all the equipment, but he's also a reporter, and he seems to get all these stories like shockingly quick after they happen.
He's got the scoops.
Things like fires, murders, bank robberies. Like, he just seems to know about them within minutes. Almost as if he was causing some of these things. So that is the general premise of the episode. Tara, what did you think of Printer's Devil?
I like this one. Not as hot on it as like some of the other ones that I've been pretty high on, but I think this one's pretty good. It's always fun to see Burgess Meredith, especially every time he puts like a cigarette in his mouth. I just immediately see the Penguin from the Batman series.
Well, it was a cigar in this episode. He was
he had a cigarette in the beginning, but then he's chomping on a cigar later on. But like, it's pretty uncanny.
Yeah, he's been pretty pretty devious looking in this, and he's got this grin in his face a lot of the time, and all these little glances. And it's because, of course, he's the devil, as the episode reveals slowly as it goes on.
I do think the female lead in this is, I think, kind of poorly written. She sort of just comes off as I don't know, it's just a bad person who's not very understanding or empathetic.
Oh yeah, the opening scene where the old man who runs the printing equipment comes in and says, "I'm sorry to do this to you. You've been the best boss I've ever had, but you've not paid me in 2 months, so I need to go. I need to go and get another job because I can't eat." And and their main character, Douglas, he's like, "Yeah, I understand." And she's standing there, and she's like Winter's
ungrateful little shit.
Yeah, she's like Douglas's like girlfriend, I think, as well as being like one of the like upper management.
I want to say she's like I don't know. She sort of came off as his assistant.
Maybe just assistant, but I mean, it's basically just them two now, right? Because there was no one else there. Like, I don't know how you even print a newspaper with only 2 people, but like apparently they were somehow doing it. But she immediately says, "I can't believe the audacity of this after all you've done for him." And I'm like, he's not paid him in 2 months. Like, what?
That's a lot, yeah.
Like, do you think he has savings to just not be paid for like a year or something?
Yeah, and she never like redeems herself or comes off as likable, even though she is, right about trusting Burgess Meredith. Like, don't trust him, but she still kind of comes off as like unlikable throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, she's there to be this seed of doubt, and she never really is written to be anything other than that. She's never really written as a real character, I guess, in that sense. So yeah, I thought this was just okay of an episode. I think part of the problem is that it's just it's a deal with the devil episode, right? That's what it is. Is like, because he ultimately wants to get him to sign something, which is effectively signing over his soul for all this success, and the printing press thing that he's made him. If that's even what it is, I can't remember what they called it, but but he says that this, whatever you type into this will happen. So that's what was happening. He created this device that will actually create the story, and that's why the newspapers were going out so quick, and all that stuff. But it's fundamentally a deal with the devil episode, and I think this is another one of this season that kind of feels like it maybe, I'm not saying it has to get cut down to 25 minutes per se, but I do feel like it was kind of spinning its wheels. There's like multiple montages of like the guys in the street corners like selling the newspapers every time there's a new thing that happens, and it's a little bit repetitious, I felt. And it's like, I think quite early on we get where it's going and we get the point of it. It reminded me a little bit of that the spaceship one where they're not they're on the planet and we kind of get where it's going. Because of
I like that episode.
This reminded me of that, and I think it's just to like they have like a get out clause at the end where he outwits them, kind of, and like eventually the woman's in jeopardy at one point because the devil writes a story about her dying in a car accident, but like there's a good gaping amount of time in this episode that is just kind of, they're being successful, and you get a little perspective because like the guy who runs the other newspaper comes over to speak to him and stuff, but this really felt like a 25-minute episode that was padded out to fill the hour long. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if the original script for this was for like a season 3 episode that they never got around to. I went, let's just put some more stuff in this and it'll work a treat.
I wasn't really irritated by the padding, if that's really what it is. Like, I did find that, like, maybe I just watched Needful Things recently, and I actually thought it reminded me a lot of that movie, which is also about like the devil coming into this small town to like open up a shop, and anything that you need is there. And that was just giving me a lot of vibes of that. But maybe it's just classic deal with the devil story, contracts and all that. But I don't know. I think it's like, I didn't mind the pacing of it at all. I didn't really find it repetitious. I just didn't find the two main characters that we're following to be all that likable, really, or like even the stress that our main character was going through. Like, he didn't really pull it off as an actor, I thought, or at least, or maybe it was a writing thing where, he supposedly is going down this path that his girlfriend disapproves of and stuff, but like they're doing really well with the company, and like I don't really understand why she's not being as supportive just because she doesn't trust the guy, Burgess Meredith. So like, I don't know, I just didn't find them to be written very well in a way that I could empathize with them very much.
Yeah, I can agree with that, honestly, which is another reason why I think this is just an okay episode. I think, and then fundamentally for me, it's just also, so much of Twilight Zone, it'll be new spins on old ideas, or in many cases they're really creating new ideas that have been copied and like sort of changed and modified and evolved since Twilight Zone. This one feels like a story much older than Twilight Zone. This feels like this is just them doing let's just take a classic type of story and just do our take on it, without really having anything in it that I think propels it into like, this is why it's going to be remembered as a good one. Obviously, you've got a big actor playing the devil character, but other than that, like I don't think it has anything sort of spark or anything that kind of makes it memorable or anything.
It is fun to see Burgess Meredith on screen, as he always is fun to watch. And I do think he makes a decent devil. He's just he's good. He's got screen presence, and he seems tricksy.
Yeah, that's just like his 4th episode, I want to say, of Twilight Zone.
Something like that, yeah.
Because he did, obviously, the famous one, Time Enough at Last. He did the one where he's in the future with the book burning stuff, and he did the one where he became strong in the bar.
With the aliens?
Yeah. So I think this is the 4th one. And it's probably my least favourite of the bunch of his episodes.
I would probably agree with that, yeah. Although I like his performance in this one. I still think he's really fun in it.
Oh, sure. But I just mean as a whole, like the episodes he's in, I think this is the one's the weakest, because the concept doesn't really feel like it's doing anything particularly unique with it or original with it, and it tries to build a bit of drama towards the end when he writes a story about her, when Douglas finally says, I want to get out of this deal, I don't want to be associated with you, and he's like, oh, look at the story I've written, and it's like, oh, this young woman dies in a car crash. And Douglas gets around it by going back to the machine himself and typing a story where she survives, but also writes in, and this is like a little tacked on thing at the end where he's like, because I was thinking, oh, he saved her, that's sweet, but the bitter ending is that he still sold his soul, so when he eventually dies, like, that's it, he still has to go to the devil. But there's this little tacked on, but it's like, oh, I also wrote a story that said that my previous deal, that contract was null and void. And I'm like, that worked.
Everybody knows that if you want to get out of a clause with the devil, you have to play a fiddle. You have to. Yeah. It's always a fiddle contest with the devil, obviously.
Yes, or possibly a rock song.
Maybe. I don't know your reference.
I'm trying to make a Tenacious D reference, okay?
Oh, okay. No, it's a fiddle of gold against your soul, obviously.
Yes. Well, yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's what the rock song at the end of the Tenacious D movie was like, sort of like a play on. It was like, this is the Jack Black
Devil Went
version.
Down to Georgia. Yeah.
Yes. I don't remember far too many lyrics of that stupid song. I'm not even a big,
Tenacious D are great, yeah.
I'm not a big Tenacious D guy. Obviously, I like Tribute when that came out, but I was never really into the rest of the albums or whatever. But I mean, that song at the end of the movie was pretty good. Anyway. So yeah, that's the problem. I mean, as good as Burgess Meredith is, he's no David Grohl.
I guess that's true.
Then again, he doesn't have to drum in this episode, so the key weakness against David Grohl doesn't come out.
I do like the idea that in this version of this story is that maybe the devil appeared to him because he was going to commit suicide, so because he was going to make this great sin or sacrifice himself and give his soul away because he's going to die anyway, that this is a chance for an opportunity for the devil to come in and give him everything he wants and make a deal for his soul. Yeah, and the irony of that being is that it's this experience that makes him want to live again and feels like he can. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I just sort of read it as like he really wants something that he can exploit, and this is just the perfect time to intervene. But maybe there's like a sort of. This is like It's a Wonderful Life, except if Clarence was the devil. I feel like you can still do a better version of this, like evil version of that, where like a demon or the devil comes down to someone who's about to commit suicide and then shows them a bunch of stuff to try and like convince them to do something bad, or maybe even to convince them to kill themselves if that's like the really dark thing they want them to do. But inadvertently, actually, like the character realizes, oh no, wait, like I do have stuff to live for. Like he sort of like somehow like sees the subtext and is able to see through it. Like that actually feels like a really good, like oddly uplifting, by the end, uplifting, right. If
like
the
satire.
Devil wants your soul, then it must be worth something. Like your life must be worth something. I mean, it sort of happens in this where his other get out clause, if he wants to, save the girl from death, is that he can kill himself, and so that the contract is fulfilled. Oh yeah, sure, yeah. I'm just wondering if you can do like a sort of satirical version where it starts off really cynical, but by the end it's actually quite uplifting because, it actually still got the right message through, even though it was the devil trying his hardest to mess with someone. I don't know. Yeah. I think there's not a lot of standout sequences in this for me. Like there's like I can't really think of many visually distinct moments. When he's almost going to go off the bridge, maybe there's a few little moments there, but there's not a lot of distinct moments in my head. I guess the most creative thing it does is that sometimes when you get the montage of the stories being released, where there's like the papers have been dropped off and the guy's like extra or whatever, they did put in a few occasional shots of the thing actually happening, where you'd see like a body go to the ground, or you'd see like a little bit of a fire. And it was kind of like, oh, this is a nice stylistic little touch. I kind of appreciate this idea of seeing a little bit of it. There's a moment where like you can see a man killing someone, but you can't tell who. And then the story comes out that, Banker kills his wife or something, like strangles his wife. Like, oh, that's pretty brutal. Was it? I thought it was Baker. Maybe it was Banker. Maybe I misread it. Maybe I misread it. I don't know. Maybe you're because it was a bank robbery before that. Maybe that's where you're getting Banker from. I'm combining them. Yeah, you're combining them. Yeah. That doesn't really matter. It was just... Is this also a commentary of like, in order to get the clicks to sell the newspapers, is that you have to have these really big awful stories going on? So like you're allowing the devil to come into your town if you are a news media outlet who's just constantly well, there was that having all these salacious stories. I can't remember where it was. I want to say it was it Brazil? I can't remember. I think it was South America anyway, but this was maybe a few years ago, maybe 5-10 push. But there was like a reporter or a TV like news person who was murdering people, so they'd have murders to talk about, and they got caught obviously because we know about it. But I remember that there was something. I'm only remembering this vaguely, so go look this up to actually corroborate any of this. But it's the Murder She Wrote problem, right? Clearly, Angela Lansbury was killing all these people in her small town.
don't know. It made me think of that a little bit because it was kind of like let's make our own news. And obviously it's like that's if you wanted to pad this episode out, that's almost how you could do it, I suppose, rather than like stretch out the characters that we have that aren't that. I mean, obviously you could flesh them out. That'd also be a good idea, obviously, but
just another pass at the writing board, maybe.
But you could flesh it out a little bit or pad it out by like seeing some of these things more in depth. Where how does this happen exactly? Like, so because obviously the devil's influencing. So it's like, say the baker, for example, who killed his wife. Like, is he just normal and happily married, and then like something just like because the devil's influencing him, does he just click? Is it just like a snap? Or is he like a zombie when he does it? Does he turn? Like, well, the seed's already there. Like, you could do something where you sort of see people like like the fire at the other newspaper building. Like, did they take over someone to like start the fire, or did it miraculously just start somewhere?
Electrical problem, he said.
Well, that's what he said, but I mean, I'm not convinced that that was accurate.
Hey, if it was arson, I think he would have put that in his story.
That's true. That makes for a story. Yeah, that's true. And he can make his finger light on fire, so maybe he can just.
After all those times for asking for a match, asking for a light.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's like maybe it's because I've been watching the Final Destination movies recently. Maybe I'm just combining Final Destination with this plot. but that's something you could do to at least have a couple of fun sequences. Maybe you could have the suspense of what's going to happen, or like because that's kind of what it's getting at towards the end when he's wrote the story about her crashing the car. And then he asks her for a ride to the airport, and she gives him. It's like, oh, he's like setting this up for her to be in this predicament, and you get a little bit of tension because it's like, oh, it's going to happen. It's almost a shame that because the episode is, thank you, Foxy, because the episode is trying to conceal that they're writing the stories in advance, you don't get that tension of, oh, this bad thing's about to happen a little bit. So maybe they should have revealed that a little bit earlier.
I guess that's true. I'm not sure. I guess I assumed that because he wrote it, that the stories would happen, or rather than like he would write it and then go influence the real life so that it would happen. You know what I mean? But like he does get in the car with her at the very end, which insinuates that he is the one that's causing these things to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Because the way he said it to the other guy was, anything you write on this machine will just happen. And I kind of just got him asking for a ride, being him just wanting to witness it, kind of thing.
Yeah, extra sinister because he doesn't like her since she slapped him.
Exactly, yeah, she slapped him. So that's kind of how I read that. And then, maybe if they'd revealed it earlier on that these things were going to happen after we knew what they were, you could have said, okay, so there's going to be this murder, and you could get at least one good like few minute sequence of like someone turning into a killer, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just trying to think of ways to spice it up a little bit because I do think it is lacking something. I think
there's one scene where you could see like I don't know if he's in the reflection of the glass or if it's just like when our lead guy, he's in like an office and he's going over some papers and stuff, and then you could see Burgess Meredith like hovering, like a specter of him like hovering over him or something while he's reading. Or if it's a reflection in the glass, I can quite tell from the direction of what was happening.
Yeah. Like all of the things, just to go back to the characters for a little bit, I think the two leads not being particularly likable or like we don't really get a sense, other than the fact that it's closing down, like why our main character has a passion for doing this and why he cares about doing it. And why, when he's offered a job at the other newspaper, oh hey, we'll buy this building out and you can work for us and you'll still get to do everything you do pretty much. He's like so adamant that he doesn't want that. Like we never really get a sense of like we never get anything from him that tells us, okay, this is why we should like him and why we should root for him to have this.
Yeah, it just seems like this is just his small business that he doesn't really have a passion for. It's just like, this is my business, and if it's gone, I won't have a business anymore.
I mean, I suppose you could say that the opening scene with the guy like quitting is him, like the point of that is to sort of make us feel bad because he does feel guilty that he can't pay him and he's upset that he's leaving. But I don't think they hammer it home hard enough. Like I don't think you get enough of him.
Well, I mean, the old man that leaves does say like, you're still the best boss I ever had, and is trying to make, okay, Gus, trying to make our lead guy likable through him, you know?
Yeah. I think maybe the problem with that though is, I mean, it's not a problem. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's fine. But it maybe needs something else to back it up, because what we have there is a character just saying he is a good guy, just literally telling us he is a good person. We need to see him be a good person as well.
He did work for him for like 8 weeks without pay.
Yeah.
So he must have done it because he liked him.
Yeah, but this is an example of telling rather than showing, and you can still have him say that, but you have to show us something as well to back it up. And I don't think we ever really get anything from, we never really. It's because it's not until his own like girlfriend / like assistant is threatened at the end that he's actively trying to save someone or stop the bad guy from doing anything. Like, let's say, like, he realized the devil did murder someone for a story. Like, have him feel guilty about it. Have him maybe see, like, I don't know, the widow, or not. I mean, obviously the murder we get is it's a husband killing a wife, but like, have him in some way encounter something related to that to feel guilty about it, or have him try to stop something from happening and fail, so it means more when he tries to stop the devil at the end and wins. And that's the other problem I think with the ending, is that it feels really easy. Like, when I was sort of joking about the like him just writing in, oh, that previous contract's null and void, everything about the ending with him doing this feels too easy. I kind of wish that he tried to stop one of the previous things and couldn't before. And that would be like, that sets you up for the darkest part of the story where he's failed and we're at our lowest going into the third act kind of thing, yeah,
I didn't even really think about it. I mean, it kind of opens up some maybe plot holes also. Like, could the devil just, write a story where, like, he where he's influencing our lead guy the whole time to, like, be happy with the changes that are happening.
Also,
and
couldn't the devil then, I mean, he does say at one point, the devil, that is, he says that he does have some rules he has to follow, so maybe he can't just come back willy-nilly, but part of me was thinking, like, couldn't he just, like, use the machine again himself once it's away from them, because they get rid of it, and just retcon the previous retcon and just go, oh, that contract is not null and void, it's been reinstated. So says the court of demonic activity, or something. Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that I feel some padding, and then I don't really connect with the two main characters, and then I feel like everything's too easily solved at the end. So
when the girlfriend says somewhere like 3/4 of the way through that she doesn't like the person that he's become, I kept wondering, like, what does she mean? Like, he seems like the same person from the beginning of the episode. Yeah, so I don't see any changes in him.
Yeah, we've not seen a change in him. That's a very good point. Yeah.
And she's really upset about it, but, like, I don't know what she's talking about. So anyway, yeah, that was a grudge that I had in the episode also.
A grudge?
Yeah, I'm going to hold on to it forever.
Very vengeful. Did you mean to say grape there?
Yes, I think I did.
Okay, that's okay.
Edit it out so I sound better.
Oh no, it's too funny. I like it. I'm forever going to hold this grudge against these characters and the writers of this episode.
How dare Charles you? Beaumont.
Yeah, Beaumont, you prick. How dare you?
I don't. Is Beaumont the one that had, like, that weird disease where he aged rapidly?
I think so. I think he's the one that passed away relatively.
Because I don't think
early.
he has too many episodes left in him.
Yeah, so, yeah. I do love that you try to be nice at the start of this when I say, what did you think? And you said, I like this one, but, and then listed a bunch of things, and what we've mostly done is describe why it doesn't really work that well as an episode.
It doesn't, but I would say it's still entertaining. It's still, Twilight Zone, and it still has Burgess Meredith in it, so I do still like it. I don't love it.
Okay. I'm just keeping you on your toes, that's all.
Yeah.
But there you go, that's Printer's Devil. Next time on the Twilight Zone, it's an episode called No Time Like the Past. So we're getting some time travel, and we get some teases at the end. I'll read you the description on IMDb. A scientist attempts to use a time machine to prevent tragedies, both in world history and in his own past. And one of the few things you see at the end of this is footage of Hitler, but in like a sniper scope. So you can tell that he's going to try and make some big changes in the episode.
Yeah, but the gun won't go off.
No,
we see that.
Which I would presume means that, like, a force is going to stop him from interfering. Like, like time's monitoring. Like, no, you can't change things because This is all like he's meant to live until a certain point and do these certain things. That's just the way things happen, and you can't do anything about it. But it also seems there's also like a little moment that teases that he's actually going to be the cause of something, and then that brings into the old time travel question: was he always going to travel back in time and always be the So we've reviewed a lot of time travel movies over on our sci-fi movie podcast, The Atomic Cinema Experiment, which you can go find on Male Fuzz Movies on YouTube or a podcast feed near you. But we've done a lot of time travel movies. We even did a top 10 time travel movies at one point. So we've discussed many of these concepts at length. So I'll be curious to see what they do with it next episode.
Hope it's better than the other time travel episodes we've gotten. Not that they've all been bad, but...
No, there's been a couple of good ones, I think.
So one with the professor in season 1, professor from Gilligan's Island. And then there was one with
Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben. I'm thinking of the one with the silent movie actor.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about. No, I was thinking of the one where he's from Oregon Trail times, and he walks just over the road and ends up at a modern day.
Oh yeah. That's a great episode.
Yeah, petrol station. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've done some.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of the time travel episodes have been like any of my favorites. So maybe they've not nailed it yet. They've not nailed like a great time travel episode. So maybe, unless I'm forgetting, it's entirely possible I'm just forgetting something because there's been a lot of episodes at this point. So yeah, I'm not going to say that with any sense of like certainty, but we'll see. That's No Time Like the Past is next time. But there you go. That is Twilight Zone for the week. So thank you very much for joining us. Please do like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications. All those things help us out a lot. As does, of course, if you want to help us financially, hitting the super thanks button below the video, or you can do it on a more regular basis somewhere else, can't you, Tara?
That's right, Peter. If you guys enjoy our reviews, please check out our Patreon. It's patreon.com/MildFuzzTV, where if you donate as little as $3 per month, you'll get access to bonus content and be part of our little community. Thank you.
Thank you kindly. There you go. That has been our Twilight Zone discussion. We're actually already over halfway, or bang on halfway through season 4, because there's only 18 episodes.
Oh yeah.
This is wild. So we're halfway through.
We're going to have a very short best of and worst of list.
Oh, it'll just be a top 5. There's no way we're doing a top 10 for this season.
Even top 5 seems like too many, but yeah, it's probably good.
I mean, if 5 and 4 are like okay, these are the best of the rest, but they're not amazing, then that's just how it is. But I've liked a couple of the episodes so far. I'm feeling,
totally. Yeah.
I'm feeling relatively confident that we can do 5. Relatively. Anyway, that is us. So thank you very much once again for joining us. We always appreciate it. Keep watching or listening. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Keep watching TV in the Twilight Zone.